Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Here we are at our first Sunday. And as usual, I think it's important that we unite ourselves together so that we all generate the same kind of energy, no matter where we are. So let us begin by doing 3 ohms together. Om. Om. It's always so lovely to own with other people. So here we are, and I was just wondering, how was the word surrender for you? Did you think about it? Did you practice it? Did you forget about it till I just said this? All those are possibilities. And there's no right or wrong answer. It's just that it's good to take the word and allow yourself to ponder on it. If you even every morning, if you say to yourself, okay, what's the word? And maybe it might take you a few moments. Then when it comes to you, what would be really, really good is just for you to go, today, let me practice that. Let me practice that. So surrender, we have some notes showing here.
I keep the word of the month on my laptop, so when I open it
I
up.
see. That's a very good idea. Absolutely. So then every time you look at it, there you go.
And while I'm unmuted, the other thing maybe you could touch on is the similarities between surrender and humility.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. No, yeah, sorry about that. It's a big, heavy one. I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry. So surrender. Why do we have this word surrender? Because in normal usage, what we say about it is surrender means to give up. We usually think of it as waving the white flag, and then you're taken prisoner, and off you go to some fate. It doesn't really sound like a good word to be, to be meditating on. But it's not about giving up in that way. It is about letting go, for sure. And it's about letting go of our attachments to a perceived outcome. And all of our attachments are about our desires. All desires create attachments. So like if I'm walking down the street and all of a sudden, I smell pizza and it's delectable and I haven't eaten today. And you can smell the yeasty dough, you can smell the tomatoes. It's like, oh my gosh, now what am I going to do? I'm going to start looking for where that pizza is. Where do I go for it? And then I get there and I'm like, oh, ready, get my pizza. And they're like, sorry, ma'am. It was a sale for this morning and we're all sold out. So I didn't get my outcome. So now I'm upset. Like, see, doesn't this figure this always happens to me? Only to me. I'm always the one who misses out on things. So now I'm just gonna walk through the day like this. What does surrender? What surrender have to do with all of this? It has to do for me to go, you know what? Thank goodness I was the last person, because I don't need all of that gluten today. And tomatoes are way too acidy for me. So this was probably a blessing in disguise. You see, that's surrendering my attachment to a perceived outcome, because I thought pizza was going to be the ultimate delight. But as I surrender it, it helps me to understand that what's more delightful is that I feel better about myself. It will last longer than having a slice of pizza. Pizza might be delicious for half an hour. And then after that, I might be like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have had that. Or, oh my goodness, da, 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 da. But to surrender it within my own self, of my own free will, of my own choice, means that my preference is about how I feel, how I want my day to go, how I want to feel no matter where I am throughout the day. So it's important for us to learn to surrender that we have to have things a particular way on a particular day in a particular fashion. And if it doesn't happen, well, I'm going to be unhappy. You see how we almost like make ourselves be unhappy because we've put it into motion as like, if this doesn't happen, I will feel this way. So you don't really have that freedom to feel joyful. I'm going to feel upset. It's almost like an affirmation. I am going to feel upset when this doesn't happen. So you really don't have another choice to find another way to work through it. So surrender is all about helping ourselves not to be stiff and rigid. So when you're doing yoga, you have to surrender, right? You have to surrender how you're moving. You can't just force yourself into it. You might hurt yourself if you force things. If you force things into your mouth, you might hurt yourself. So we have to take small bites. We have to chew. We have to do these things. We have to help ourselves to surrender to what's in front of us. So it's about surrendering desires that are harmful to us, surrendering tendencies that are harmful to us. It's about looking at things and helping ourselves to know that this is how we usually do it. I have this goal and I'm going to do it. I'm going to achieve it no matter what. I'm going to think about this goal. You can see just the stiffness and the rigidity that I'm showing you is not the best way to go through something. The more you have to like work yourself up into a frenzy, you have to work yourself up into this rigidity, then it's not a pure intention. What's behind all of that is fear. Fear that I won't be happy, fear that I'm going to get cheated again, fear that things are still unfair, fear that people won't see me, fear that I won't be happy. That's what that stiffness is. That's I feel like it's my right. I'm going to do this. So surrender doesn't mean that you have to change your goal, but it means that you might want to really consider your approach. Your approach needs to be more like, okay, what I really want is I really want to have this I don't know, I really want this Ganesha. I want this Ganesha so much, but it looks like it's already been sold to someone else. Maybe I'll just take it home with me for a little while. Maybe forever. That's not surrendering to my desire, is it? That's making things far worse in the future. Same thing, we can act like that with people. We can see them getting something and then we can take it from them. It's not a good idea. It's somebody else is talking and we can talk over them. That's not a good idea either. So what we do is we surrender what we're wanting to say and wait for the time to be able to say it. So see, surrender isn't about the white flag. There is a definition about the white flag, of course, and that's valid, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about helping ourselves to notice how we force and push things, how we're afraid things won't work out. So we resort to forcing, to pushing, at night when we're tossing and turning, it's because we can't surrender to sleep. You know that feeling? That feeling? That feeling, in order to sleep, God is blessed. That feeling needs a feeling of surrender, of giving into, my mind is so restless. My mind does not want to sleep. My body wants to sleep. My body really wants to sleep, but not my mind. So my mind is fretting, it's worrying, it's doing all these things. So it becomes stiff and rigid because it won't let go of a particular thought. It keeps going around and around and around. So I need to surrender that. Has this happened to everybody at some point? And you know how hard it is to let go of that thought, because it's almost like if I let that thought go, then that means I could get hurt tomorrow. Something bad might happen to me if I stop thinking about this. It just means we worked ourselves up into not only a frenzy, but fear. Now we're afraid to stop thinking about the worst case scenario. One of the biggest things that we want to learn to surrender is the fear that we've generated in our own mind about the worst case scenario. Well, you know how they're going to say, you know what they're going to do. They're just going to say bad stuff about me. I don't even know why I should even bother. They're just bad people. They could not possibly ever understand anything that I'm going to say. So I'm being rigid. I'm deciding that they're rigid, and I'm being rigid towards people that I've already decided are rigid. So how can I turn that around? I need discernment. First of all, you can't say everything that you feel to everybody on the planet. Really, there's some things that are going to be offensive to other people, and we have to surrender our own, what do I want to say? Our own freedom of speech. We have to surrender it sometimes so we don't hurt the other person. So what you're doing is you're actualizing your freedom to love. We have to be more careful with how we say things, but we can't be more careful with how we say things unless we're more careful with how we think about things. How do you think about things? Do you catch yourself really mumbling about how incredibly ignorant other people are, to the point to where you're just agitated? Now you're afraid that something bad is going to happen because all these bad people are out there? Because if that's there, it's going to be contagious. Fear is one of the most contagious things that we have. Did you know that they're going to be coming for us? Now, see, just me leaning into you like that and getting into that space, it's powerful. Now, the seeds of fear can be spread everywhere. So we have to surrender fear. Help ourselves to go, wait a minute. Yeah, there's really a lot of bad thoughts out there. And there's really a lot of people that, want to make other people feel afraid. Do I really want to be one of them? Instead of deciding that everybody's bad, check in with yourself and ask yourself, did you get swept up in the bad storm? Did you get swept up and you're thinking the same thoughts, maybe just in another way? We have enough people out there spreading all kinds of fearful kinds of things. All these bad things are going to happen, and everyone's going to disintegrate, basically. It's not going to happen. Earth is hard work. We didn't come here to have fun. I'm not saying fun isn't a good thing, but we didn't come here to have fun. Remember that we're spirits. We are. We're spirits, and we live in a physical body. And we live on a planet. And this planet has rules. It has gravity. Let me tell you, when you get older, you really understand the laws of gravity better. And you have to surrender to them. So while we're here, why are we here? Are we here to really only have fun? Are we here only to be angry? To procrastinate our life because we don't feel like we're perfect? Is this why we're here? Because we become so dependent on what other people are thinking about us, and then we become a slave to their thoughts. Because I want them to see me in a particular light. Instead of being so desirous of being seen in a particular light, it's always better to be who you are naturally. People usually use the word authentically here. It's a perfectly good word. I just prefer naturally. Because when you really are who you are naturally, you're being the truth. You're being truly who you are. And this is why this is such a hard thing. I don't know. We'd have to go into a whole long discussion about that. But we have to help ourselves to surrender the bad thoughts we have about ourselves, and the bad thoughts that others have about us, and the bad thoughts that we perceive that they have about us when they might not even be thinking about us at all. But we've decided that they have. So to surrender these things is for us to help ourselves to go, okay, maybe these people don't like me. Okay, I need to be aware of that. So when I'm around them, their thoughts don't come into me and make me not feel good about myself. We don't have to decide that they're bad and tell them how bad they are. You can if you like. But will that really propel the situation forward? It's a very rare thing that people use fire to fight fire. It has to be used very, very, very much with discernment. It's not the common way to fight fire. So to yell at other people who are yelling at us, it creates more fire. We have to be more judicious in how we use that. We don't have to punish everybody all the time because they hurt us. It's sort of like another aspect of surrender is like somebody gives you something, and as they give you this gift, and you're like, oh yeah, thanks, and you put it to the side, and they leave, and they're like, did you see what she did with it? She just put it to the side. She said thanks. If you give something to somebody and you're not happy with the way that they received it, you might want to practice surrendering that. Because did you really give it because you wanted to give it, or did you give it because you wanted the acknowledgement? Because if what you wanted was the acknowledgement of giving, it's best that you just tell yourself that that's what you were doing. You don't have to think of yourself as bad. You don't have to go there. But it's very enlightening to be able to say to yourself, holy cow, I'm upset because I didn't get the gratitude that I wanted to get. Okay, I need to learn to give and forget about it. Why bother with giving if you're going to hold somebody accountable for how much they have to pay you back? It wasn't a gift then. It was maybe some sort of unspoken negotiation. But gift giving has to do with giving and forgetting that you ever gave. But don't bother with giving at all. Help yourself to give and forget about it. It's very, very important that we learn to do this, because this is the practice of surrender. Somebody does something to you in the car, every month I have to have some sort of a freeway kind of example. So maybe, you got your turn signal on, you're wanting to get in the other lane, other people are seeing you with your turn signal on, but they're like, yeah, no, not today. So you wait until finally somebody lets you in. And by this time you're just like, yeah, let me in. Now, do you think to go like this to them? Maybe not. You see, the thing is that we have to become we have to treat ourselves and become the way that we really want to be treated. Now, we're not always going to be treated in the way that we want to be treated, because we have to deal with karma too. So karma is cause and effect. So there's probably been many times in our lifetime where we were the thing that we've learned to disdain, where we weren't very gracious in receiving something. We weren't gracious when somebody let us in, or we've refused to let somebody in even though we see them struggling. No, you'll have to wait. It's my turn. I already waited. Now it's your turn to wait. Oh, is this really the way we want ourselves to be? Is this really how you want to be? It's more like that. It's more like, how do you want to be? How do you want to go about your day? Do you want to be agitated all day? If the answer is no, then we have to learn to surrender these slights that happen. Because people will slight us, we slight them. And if you hold on to them all day, at the end of the day, you're going to be worn out. Because remember, everything that you think and everything that you feel affects your body. And at the end of the day, if you were very angry in traffic and then you went to work and people were ungrateful there too, and bad things were being said amongst each other, and then you go home and you spread it to your family by complaining to them all day, all night long about everything that happened. Oh, Lord, have mercy. You're not going to be able to sleep so well. So you see, it affects us. It affects us. And then the next day when we start out, it's still with us. So if throughout the day we're like, okay, traffic is really bad today. I'm on my way to work. I'm going to be a little bit late. Okay, I'm going to have to surrender that. They're not going to understand. Nope, they're not. Okay, maybe I'm being too hard. Maybe they will. But you don't know. You don't know for sure. So the best thing to do is for you to keep centering yourself in that traffic jam. You keep working on breathing while everybody around you is doing all kinds of gestures and mouthing things and inching up in front of people. While that's happening and you're watching it, you want to be like, I'm so grateful
that I'm aware to surrender. I'm so grateful that I'm not going to give up my peace. I'm determined that that is the one thing that's worth fighting for. And the fight of peace is not this. It's this. What you're doing is you're counterbalancing the agitation with your decision to calm yourself. Your decision to calm yourself is surrendering that there's all this stuff in the air that you can't do anything about. You can't change the minds of the other drivers. You're not going to be able to change the way you're being perceived at work when you come into the meeting 5 minutes late. Maybe you will, maybe you won't, but you can't count on it because they have to make their own choices. Are they going to surrender and say, oh, it's all right? That happens to all of us. Or are they going to be like, you should have started out earlier. You know how important this was? Whatever it is, you have to like help yourself to come to a place where you're willing to, because you have to go through it anyway. So if you're not taking care of yourself in that car by the time you get to work and somebody says a little thing or they have a little attitude towards you and you know it's 5 minutes, it's contagious. Anger is contagious. Fear is contagious. And so when they throw that anger at you, then you're going to be like, well, so what? 5 minutes. You did it the other day. Now we have to have our meeting. You see, it's like if you go to bed like that, now you have to go to sleep. Yeah, time to sleep. The practice of surrender, you see, the practice of surrender is coming home throughout the day. You see, it's really hard because we are very addicted to anger because it makes us feel powerful. Now, why would we be addicted to anger? Because it makes us feel powerful, because we spend an inordinate amount of time thinking we're powerless, thinking that we're weak or we're not perfect or whatever it might be. We concentrate so much on our self-doubts that we resort to drinking anger. We do. Because once you start to feel angry, you want to sit up a little bit more. Your body is stiff. You're ready. Come on. See what I mean? It's an illusion of power. It is powerful, but it's not empowering at all. And it will hurt your body, and it will hurt your mind, and it will pollute the air. And anybody who steps into your aura are now also in danger of catching it from you because it's contagious. Anger is very, very contagious, and it does not make us strong and powerful. It makes us powerfully angry, but it doesn't make us empowered human beings. An empowered human being understands that anger, chronic anger, is a waste of energy. When you use that energy of anger and you don't use anything else, you just use anger, you're going to start to lose some of the power in your mind because it's so agitated. The more you practice surrender, your mind has more relaxation, and it's very similar to being able to wake up in the morning after a really, really good night's sleep, how clear things are, how you feel like, hey, good morning. Yeah, got things to do today. You see, when we surrender, the agitation, the frustration, the anger, all of these things are debilitating. They take a lot of energy to run in your system. And it's debilitating because if you go to bed angry, you're going to toss and turn. It's going to come into your dreams. It's going to be all around you. And the next morning, it's still going to be there. You may not feel it, but it'll still be there. And you'll know when you get in your car because you're going to be like so upset with the other drivers because you woke up that way. It's like catching a cold. Once you have it, the symptoms start to develop. So once you catch anger from somebody else, the symptoms start to develop. And what are you going to do about it? Are you just going to let it be there and just go, yeah, I'm mad. I'm really mad. I'm mad that this happened to me. It's yeah. And I get that. Do you think I'm saying this to you because I haven't felt that way? I get it. But I also get that working on yourself is the best thing you could ever do for yourself. Nobody, other people aren't going to be as hurt by your anger in your house when you're just, you're going to be hurting yourself more than you're hurting anybody else, but you will hurt others. If you hurt yourself with anger, you will hurt others with that anger too. Because when you step into their auras, you're going to feel that anger and you're going to project it onto them. Because it makes you feel powerful, not empowered, powerful. So surrender is this place inside of us where we're developing self-control. We're helping ourselves to understand that we feel really angry. We feel all these things that are going on, but we have to help ourselves to know that this storm that we're experiencing in here is probably unhealthy because it takes a lot of energy to be angry. You must know that. It makes people really tired. If you're angry, chronically angry, and you live in a space like that, your face begins to change. When I was a child, if we, as my mother would say, pulled a face, you know, a stink face. Chris, we're from Colorado, so she would say, careful, face could freeze like that. And that would be terrible. And we'd be like, oh, would it? But there's this truth that's in it. The more that we practice stink face, stink thoughts, stink words, we become smelly. Karma, cause and effect. The more that you notice this about yourself, and you're just like, oh, let this go. You become more empowered because you realize that you have been in control all along. You see, we just don't remember that. So that's why we resort to anger. We're not practicing self-control. We forget how empowered we really are. We're human beings. We have the power to overcome everything. We do. And the problem is that we resort to too many things. I'm using anger today because it's so available and it's everywhere. And people use it to frighten other people, you know, to get their way, to frighten, just to be boastful, whatever it may be. You know, anger is way overrated as a power. It's way overrated as a way to live in the world. It's not a good way to live in the world, not at all. We have to learn to understand that that power that we're using for anger was alive and well. We just converted it to anger. You can convert it to love. You can convert it to empowerment. The amount of energy it took to have an angry outburst, that energy was already in there. You've chosen to throw it away without realizing that you chose it. Not all choices are conscious. Sometimes they're impulsive. So we make this choice to angry. But that energy was already in there. I have the power within me to surrender and use that energy for something else. But you see, it's a habit. So anger makes us stiff and rigid. Makes the body stiff, makes the mind stiff, it makes your words stiff, everything about you becomes stiff. And of course, in mysticism, we associate stiffness with death. The body, when we leave our body, your body is not going to be supple anymore. It's not going to be soft anymore because your soul isn't in it anymore. So it becomes stiff and rigid. So when we're in anger, the knowledge that we are a soul, the knowledge that softness is the strongest force within us disappears. and we become stiff and rigid, immovable. This is not very powerful. It can hurt other people. And if we equate power to how much we hurt other people, how much we walk over other people, we're in big trouble. Power, the greatest power in the universe is not anger. It is love. But we reduce love to thinking about it as an emotion, a desire. We get very confused and think that because I love spaghetti, right? Really, what we're saying is, I have a great desire for spaghetti. It's okay to say love. I'm not trying to correct or say that that's wrong to say that. But what I'm saying is we confuse desire and love every day of the week. We do. Oh, this man, I just love him. Maybe we do love him, but it could also mean that maybe I'm borderline obsessing about him. And obsession is not love. It's not. Over all these years that I've sat with people, when people come in and there's an obsession that's happening, which is not uncommon. I'd love to tell you it's uncommon, but it's not. It's interesting to me because, see, the obsession makes you afraid. Makes you afraid it's going to go away. The thing that you want is going to go away. You become very obsessed with, it's going to go away. It's going to go away. It's going to go away. It's not going to be returned. The love isn't going to be returned. You see, that's not love. It's an incredible desire that has formed an attachment inside of me. And the greater the attachment, the greater the fear that I have that it's going to go away. But love, if I'm in an actual situation of love, really, then I'm going to want the best for myself as well as for the other person. Maybe what's best for the other person is for them not to be with me. That will make me sad, but hopefully I'm there enough for me while I'm being sad to help myself to grow and to understand that he couldn't stay with me because of the way that his life was. You know, that's empowering. That's empowering to be able to be with yourself and know that things don't always turn out the way that we think that they should, or the way that we command that they should be. The more that we give that up, we begin to find ourselves and find this way with ourselves to discover what it is that we really want. And I would imagine that if everybody was being honest with ourselves, we would realize nobody wants to live in the feeling of obsession. Nobody wants to wake up feeling obsessed. I mean, who would want that? But there it is. And we all have this in varying amounts, in varying degrees. So there's things that we can do about it. You see, we have to learn to rest. You have to learn to rest. Let me show you something. My big tarot cards are here because, you know, I do the tarot class after this one. So how convenient for today, because this is the card of surrender, the Hanged Man. So it sounds weird, the Hanged Man, and here he is hanging upside down. But if I turn him this way, he's not being hurt. He's not being hurt at all. This is actually the card of water. Water reflects everything, right? It's also the card of birth, one of the cards of birth. This is the natural position for us to come into this life. Sometimes people come in this way and it's very difficult and they have to be turned around. This is the card of surrender. What surrender means is it means do not force, do not push. Be like water. We can say water forces or pushes. Water just looks for the easiest route. Then water doesn't think about, oh, taking these trees and these rocks down the mountain. It's just, that's the easiest route to go. So the thing is that we have to like help ourselves to be in a space where we're more fluid. You don't want to be this powerful rushing river where we do take things out. No. We have to learn to be more fluid. The other cars that are not being fluid and they're up against each other, you have to teach yourself to be more fluid in your seat. Watch your body. Practice of surrender has some things that you can do every day. Every day when you're, again, if you're sitting in your car, help yourself to go, oh, okay, nope, there's stiffness there. Okay, let it go. I do. I like feel it in my arms. If my arms are really tense, I like think about where my fingers are and how to let the tension move through my arms. I am made of energy. You're made of energy. And we can move this energy. And if you practice relaxing, then the tension doesn't have any place to hold on to. The practice of relaxation will make you far more sane. It'll make you have more clarity. The practice of surrender, letting the energy, the bad energy, flow through you and out you, down through your feet, through your fingers, out your ears, anywhere. What you want to do is you want to practice being fluid. You want to be supple, like a tree. You don't want to practice anything that makes you stiff and rigid, because that means you're not in life. You can't be progressive in this way. There are people who are quite famous right now, and they are very stiff and rigid. They're very angry. And they could make other people feel very stiff and rigid and very angry. So anger is very powerful, but only in a destructive way. So each of us has to stay away from it as much as we possibly can. Because if you give in to it, it will change you. And it will be very difficult to be able to change back. So people who live on anger, it will hurt them. And the more people that they hurt, because they will hurt, it's hurting them. And the more people that they hurt, it's never a good thing because it doesn't go away. Everything that we put out into the earth, into the air, it touches other people, it touches other situations, and then it returns back to us. Nobody's being punished. Nobody's being rewarded. But everything that moves through you touches other people, it will affect them. And what affects them will produce causes for it to come back to you. So anger can become this thing where it can be this big tide because it can keep coming back to the person. They're not empowered, but they become powerful. So you see, the best way to deal with people who become powerful because of anger is to be the opposite. I'm not being airy-fairy with you. I'm not like, yeah, peace is the way. Peace is the way. But it's much more deep than you may realize. It takes effort. You have to surrender the urge for an outburst. Again, I'd love to tell you I'm perfect in this way. But you know, me, we're all saints in training. We're all very, very good. We just get lost. And the greater that we get lost, then we're termed as bad. We're not bad. We're still human beings, and we still have the power to overcome. So people who are suffering from a tremendous amount of anger to the point to where they don't no longer not only not value human life, but they don't value animal life or tree life or the clean water life. They no longer are valuing other things. What are you going to do? You're just going to get mad at them? They won't change because you get mad at them. They'll draw your energy. They'll feed on your anger. You're actually feeding them. It doesn't do us a whole lot of good to become the thing that we disdain, because then we just feed it. The monster that you see in them, you are now feeding it with the monster that could live inside of you. So how do we change the world? We change ourselves. And if you think that that's too little, I encourage you to think again. If you can change yourself and you empower yourself to live more peacefully, it will move through you and it will touch other people. It will affect them and it will return back to you. And you are being fed that again. You see how I showed it to you with anger, and then I showed it to you with peace. Don't think peace is wimpy. It's far more powerful than anger. Anger just has to make a really big deal in order to survive. It's a show off. You see? And then we're like, right? It's just all a show. It's a total illusion. It is very strong in the moment, but it will burn itself out. It has to keep being fed. So since we're looking for a deeper spiritual life, we have to take care of ourselves. We have to make ourselves more empowered to put that out into the air. So every morning when I do my prayers, I pray for the air. What? We're looking at me like, what? I do. I pray for the air. I pray for the air and for the water. So let me tell you what I mean by that. Every word that's ever been spoken is still in the air. You can believe me or not. I have no need for you to believe me. You should be very discerning about everything that I say to you. You decide for yourself. But for me, I can feel thoughts in the world. I can be sitting across from somebody and I'm consciously aware that I'm feeling their thoughts. How does that happen? It has to move through the air. So not only are your words in the air, but your thoughts are in the air. So we live in very polluted air, not just from factories and cars, but from the way that we think and speak. That energy moves through you and moves out. Sound does not die. It just keeps bouncing around. So you see, what I'm showing you is we can change the world by changing ourselves. If you put out peace every day, so I love Ganesha. So every morning I pray to Ganesha and ask him to remove the obstacles to peace, peace, peace within the air and within the water, and the dance between the two. I'm just sharing this with you so that you know, to me, it's really, really important. I not only want to have clean air where there's no brown streaks at sunset, I want to help clean the air from negativity that creates unhealthy thoughts, which creates selfishness and greed and hatred. Such ignorance. It's 2022. We can start to move beyond this. We can start to understand that sounds in the air do not go away. So we have to help them. Be more conscious, be surrendering. Surrendering means let it go. Let the negativity go. And as you let it go, replace it with something positive. It's not enough just to let it go. Help yourself to replace it. Peace, peace, peace. And as I chant peace, 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 those words move through my body. They move through every cell in my body, just like hate, hate, hate moves through my body. So taking care of our body, it isn't enough just to go to the gym. It's better to also remember, what are you chanting inside of you? Because it's a sound. Your thoughts produce sound waves, and those sound waves move through your body. So every time you tell yourself how ugly you are, we can actually become ugly individuals. don't want that. I don't want that. So we have to surrender the negativity. We have to surrender the things that appear to be powerful, but they're just raw power. They're not empowerment. We have to remember that if right now all you can think of about is how bad people are, oh my goodness, you have time then to think about sending peace to the people who have been hurt. Why not? There's people all over the world. There's people in your neighborhood. There's people right here that I'm looking at who have pain. Why not send peace, peace, peace out into the world? Why not surrender? Because now, if you say it out loud, it's really empowering. If you say it in your head, it has a certain ring to it, that's for sure. But if you say it out loud, which remember a whisper is out loud, it will go into the air and touch somebody else. That's surrender. It's not giving up. It's letting go of negativity, because negativity pollutes and it wears us down and it wears you out. And then you're just like, I don't even know why we're here. It's ridiculous. The world is ugly. It's awful. I don't even want to be here. I don't even want to participate. I don't want anything to do with any of these people. Did you see my face contort? You don't want that. You don't want a pinched face. Help ourselves to use what we have, to remember that we have a voice. And you know me, I don't really have a very big voice in terms of sound, but it doesn't matter. This kind of sound that I'm encouraging us to make comes from our heart. You want all of these sounds to come from your heart. So when you're speaking to other people, help yourself with your voice. Help to keep your voice controlled so that it doesn't lose that sweetness. Help yourself how you speak to others, because you know how it feels when somebody just snaps at you. Somebody doesn't even know you. Maybe it's across a counter. Maybe it's, it's at a business and somebody just is impatient. You're just another person who's ruining their day. Instead of, because you'll catch it, you catch it. And then you feel like that. And I go, why are they talking to me this way? What are you going to do about it? You could say something back to them and it'll escalate. And there you got it. Or as you leave, you can sit in your car for 15 seconds and breathe and pray for peace. And you can actually send peace to the person that irritated the heck out of you. No, I'm not going to do that. Why would I do that? Because they're hurting. They would not have treated you that way if they had perfect peace. You don't have to. You don't have to do anything. But I'm suggesting that you become more aware of it, to turn things around, to surrender, to turn things around. No more forcing, no more pushing. Anger forces and pushes. And the more you force and push, we've heard these stories in the last few years about people in large groups pushing up against each other. Can't breathe. Forcing and pushing won't work in anything that we do. It won't work. Forcing and pushing people in a war situation won't work. We won't be better for it. Nobody on the planet will be better because we force and push people into situations that are unhealthy. So treat yourself to non-forcing, non-pushing. You will get so much further. You'll get more done because you'll have more energy. You'll have more mental and physical energy as you let fear go and anger go. They go hand in hand, fear and anger, because anger comes in after. First you have fear, and then, the fear starts to make you have to be powerful because you're so afraid. And before you know it, you're angry. So the more that we help ourselves to go, no, it's okay. You're all right. You're all right. You're all right. It's okay. Breathe. It's all right. You're all right. really commit to taking care of yourself. Commit to rest, to mental rest. Before you crawl into bed, let yourself rest. Read something that's really relaxing. Do some deep breathing. I know you hear me saying it and you're probably like, oh yeah, maybe I should try that. Okay, maybe you might want to try that. But if you make it a habit, it will be really, really helpful. Because if you can turn off at night, you're going to wake up feeling a whole lot better. And you'll have more strength to practice peace during the day. But if you go to bed really, really angry and you toss and turn, you will wake up frustrated and that anger will be right there. And somebody will get it from you. You will pass that germ along to someone else. So we want to help ourselves and to help the world. And the best way we can do it is to clean up the air. What are you putting in the air? What words are you contributing to the air today that we're breathing? What are you putting out there? Are you putting out love and peace? Or are you talking about how ugly everybody is and that there's no chance for survival? All of those thoughts are in the air right now, and you're breathing them in. And even though we have thick skulls, all of these energies from other people's thoughts move into yours and mine into theirs. We just forget about this because we don't think about intuition. Intuition teaches us that thoughts are not contained in your head. They're everywhere. If you think that they're only in your head, I'm encouraging you to rethink that. And let's say that they were only contained in your head, you're still hurting the soul, your own soul. You're still hurting yourself, and you matter. So surrender. Surrender is letting go of the things that make us stiff and rigid, letting go of obsessiveness and possessiveness, living more in peace, knowing that, yeah, but they think they're right. Yes, they do. And apparently you think you're right too, in the same way. Truly be right by being good. Knowing in your heart, you know the best thing to do. I use this example a lot because I use it with myself. If I catch myself like really getting on me about something, I will stop myself and say, okay, this is appropriate to say to a 6-year-old. Think about it. What's appropriate to say to a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old? Is it what you have in your mind? Because if what's in your mind is not appropriate to say to them, then it's not appropriate for you to be telling yourself that either. Would you say to a 4-year-old, yeah, you're not very good. Yeah. Mm-mm. Oh, you tell yourself you're not very good? That's good. Then you won't get your hopes up. I mean, come on. Think about the things that you say to yourself. If you need a measurement of goodness, ask yourself, is this the way I would teach a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old? Sincerely. How are you raising yourself? Doesn't matter if you're 67. How do you speak to yourself? How do you speak to others? Is it the same way you would teach a child to speak to themselves or to others? If it is not, then you are betraying yourself. And you'll always think that other people are betraying you. The source is here. We want to find this place inside of us. Don't you ever think that being good is wimpy. It is far stronger than anger will ever be. Okay? So that leads us to the word of the month for November. It's always the same word in November. It's gratitude, of course. And you know, it's the one month that everybody's focusing on the same word. I say everybody, but many people. are focusing on gratitude. I think it's so wonderful when families at Thanksgiving go around the table and say what they're thankful for. You know, it makes people feel self-conscious and awkward. Oh no, we have to do this kind of stuff. Oh yeah. Why does talking about love make people self-conscious? I don't know. But there you have it. But this is for this whole month. We want to focus on gratitude. And remember that gratitude is so powerful that it can actually crush resentment. I really want you to ponder on that and know that resentment is made up of 1 part anger, 1 part hurt, and 1 part we don't even see it. You have to become aware of it. When you become aware that you have anger and hurt in your heart, it will make you feel self-righteous. It will make you feel that you have a right to hurt someone, to really tell them off. We all know this. I'm just saying things out loud that maybe most people are just thinking, but they wouldn't say them out loud. We all have these tendencies. It doesn't make us bad. I'm telling it to you this way so that you can help yourself with the quality of your life. This isn't about you being bad or good for that matter. It's about the quality of your life. That's why we ponder on the word of the month. We have to realize that the virtue always has a saboteur. And you can become your own saboteur, or you can become your own virtuous quality and come to your own help, your own rescue. So these things are always in us. We always have the yin and yang going on back and forth, back and forth. So when you're on the negative side, you got to remember you have the positive to save you. Because it's just 2 sides of the same thing. So I hope this month that you stay with gratitude every day and just really, really bring it home. I am grateful for my life today. I am grateful for the people around me today. I am grateful that I can pray for peace, right? Well, how about we do 3 ohms together? And if you like, you could stay for a little while and we can do a little bit of some question and answer if you like, okay? Peace be with you. Namaste. Want to stay? Okay. I love your ohms. Anybody have a question or comment?
Very healing. Your entire 10, hour chat sharing is just so healing. How can we not feel peace?
Well,
How
I'm glad to hear that.
Gratitude. I want to tell a story real quick. I'd like to share it that, decades ago, maybe 30 or more years ago, I heard on the radio that they were feeding rabbits, okay, I know, carcinogens, because they were trying to understand cancer. So maybe it was 40 years ago. And there was this one group of rabbits that weren't getting the carcinogens, weren't growing tumors. And I'm sorry about this example for the poor rabbits. And so they kept checking, the scientists kept checking everything, their food, their water, everything. Why wasn't this one group growing tumors? One of the scientists happened to be walking by and they saw the handler and she was loving them. She was loving those rabbits.
Perfect.
Peace.
Peace to you. Thank you for sharing that.
I know, just amazing.
Right? Yeah. And see, just that's just what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So we gotta know that there's a lot of rabbits out there that are having some problems. And the best thing that we can do is to be the antidote.
Mhm.
And love does make a big difference. We know that. We all know that, but yet we don't practice it. We just kind of like get too busy in our day thinking about our bank account or the people we work with, or whatever it might be. It's we get too caught up in the things that cause us stress or distress, and then we forget what the antidote is that love. And surrender is like, I don't know, surrender is just, it's easier than you think it is. At first,
Mhm.
it doesn't seem natural, right? It just doesn't seem natural. You feel like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. Maybe I need to get more angry. You don't have to get more angry. Not at all. Thank you for that story, though. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Someone else have someone thinking they want to share?
Okay, so now I can go out and eat hamburgers and French fries because I'll just keep loving myself. No, I'm teasing.
There you go. Whatever it takes, right?
Cameron has a question.
Cameron,
Hi
hello.
there, and good morning, Jackie.
Good morning, dear.
I had a quick question. I just wanted to see if you could relate what you were talking about today to judgment specifically.
Oh, yes, to judgment. So, well, judgment is pretty forceful, isn't it? So it's like what we were talking about earlier is that when you decide that somebody is bad, then it makes us feel like we have a right to think bad thoughts about them. Oh, they're bad. Those people are bad. They're really bad. And they're dirty too. They're icky and they're dirty and they're bad and they're smelly. And, we just decide that one person or whole family or a whole group of individuals is bad. And once we do that, we don't realize that we have become contaminated by our own thoughts. When you put it on the other people, what happens there is the other people feel that they've been shamed. It's a terrible thing. You could see this in situations that there are groups of individuals all over the world who have been categorized as bad, maybe because of their race, maybe because of their gender, maybe because of their spirituality, their beliefs, whatever it is, and we judge them as bad. But the interesting thing is it's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt them. And it can take generations to overcome that kind of pain. It can. We're like, oh, no big deal. Yeah, I said that, but they should get over it. Should they? When you see your family being called names, you see children being called bad names, you see elderly people being called bad names, and you love all of these people, but they're being judged as bad because they exist, it hurts. It hurts profoundly. Surrender, on the other hand, is more like, whoa, look at those people over there. They're really having a difficult time. They hardly have anything. I think I'm gonna send them peace. It matters. So being judgmental has nothing to do with surrender. We all have to surrender being judgmental upon ourselves or about other people. At least if you can't do it for any other reason, do it because you want to be more free from pain. Because it's painful. It takes a lot of energy to be judgmental, doesn't it? It's a terrible thing. And what is that old saying? I think it's from the Bible. I'm not sure. I'm not very good with my biblical quotes. But what is it? Something about if you're judged, lest ye be judged also.
Judge not, lest you be judged.
There you go. Yeah. So it's kind of like, it's just like karma. What you put out comes back to you. So the only way I'm going to judge another person is if I judge myself too heavily, and then it's going to come through me because that's the way I think. And then I'm going to judge others because I certainly don't want to give them an opportunity to be better than me. And I already think I'm low on the totem pole. So I got to put them even lower than me. So it's just not going to work on any level. And Deborah, I think, asked me about humility earlier too. And surrender is about humility. Remember that humility is not, it's not weakness. There's no weakness in humility. Humility is more closely related to confidence than to anything else.
Oh,
Yeah, a true sense of humility is confidence. It's because you know better and you're aware that you know better. That's humility. You know, this is not appropriate for me to put another person down. And so you don't. It gives you confidence. You trust you. You trust the power of love. You become a better human being. And then you're not going to be as hurt when somebody tells you how bad you are. Because you'll be like, oh yeah, no, they're just talking about themselves and they're trying to project that onto me. We always project that onto other people. But if you don't accept it, because you know better, that's humility, that's confidence, and you live a better life. You are free. Other people can say these things to you, but you go to bed free. You know, they don't know what you know. They don't know the power of love in this way. They don't know how empowering it is, but you do. So always know that surrender has everything to do with humility, but that's another word that people think is weak. There's no weakness in it. It takes tremendous amount of strength. I think it's so funny that there's these like campaigns against these words like surrender and humility. Like they're bad, they're weak words. It's like it's almost like a smear campaign. Don't do that. Whatever you do, don't do that. It's those words give you the most empowerment. When you know inside that love isn't an emotion. Love is a power, it's a force, and that nobody can ever take it from you. They can give it away, but nobody can ever take it from you. Then you actually know something. I cannot. Will you read it to me?
Do you think you may do a beginning tarot card class again in the future? I wasn't able to join this time around. I'm so hoping there will be another one.
Oh, yes. The tarot class. We are going to do another one, another beginning one in the spring. I think it's a spring. We don't have the exact date, but we are. First of all, we have to, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, first of all, we have to finish this one. And then we do an intermediate and there's also an advanced, and then we'll start the whole thing all over again. Yeah. So we are going to do it again, probably and again and again. But we're also next spring going to do some classes of intuition. And what was the other one?
Karma.
Oh, yeah, karma and reincarnation. Yeah, we're going to do a series on that too. So we're going to do some new classes next year. That's for sure. Thank you for asking.
Thank you.
What?
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Morrow. Thank you, all of you, for being here today. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being here. Really, thank you so much. Hope you guys just go out and spread peace, right?
Namaste.
Absolutely.
Namaste.
Peace. Peace.
See you.
Peace. Namaste.